Harper, the 28th of April, 2025. If I were to be put in someone else's body, living someone else's life for a single day, I would leave them advice how to fix their lives and live a better life than the one I found them in. Then every day after that, I would be switched with another person and do the exact same thing. If I were to live in another person's body, I would try to help them. There is this movie that I'm watching called Lost in Tomorrow, where a girl makes a wish that she was someone else because she is being bullied at school and her parents are not helping her the way she would have wanted. She is shown as a talented artist, however. People do not seem to like her because she talks a lot. She says, I can't not talk a lot because I have a lot of thoughts. It is like she continues to voice out whatever thoughts she has. However, none of what she says is far from the ordinary. In fact, she speaks to her parents in a manner that shows how behaved she is. When her father asks her to make a promise not to get into trouble, she says, You told me that I should not make a promise I cannot keep. In other words, she is portrayed as a well-behaved girl. However, because she gets bullied at school, she ended up hitting another kid, and for that her parents were called, and she was scolded. This is why she made a wish that she would be someone else, and she made the wish in front of her parents. Then her father said, We love you how you are. The next day she wakes up in the body of a man, and she starts freaking out about it. Then she goes to her house, and she finds that another family lives in it. This is similar to being in a different universe, where she would be born into the body of another person. However, she still retains her memory of being a girl, and doesn't recognize anything around her from the man's belongings. She goes to her house and tries to call her parents, but they are not there. She barges into the house, which appears to belong to another family, so she hides and sleeps in the closet. She wakes up in the body of a woman, and she does the same. She goes to her original house and tries to check if her family is there. She continues to do that over and over, and every time she is in the body of a different person. The moral of the story is evident from the beginning. A person should be thankful to God for who they are, and they should be grateful for whatever life they already have. But the movie continues to delve into deep questions and circumstances. She wakes up into the body of a woman whose boyfriend is the son of her original father. When she wakes up and doesn't know her boyfriend, she runs away from the house and waits in front of her original house. She is then driven back to her boyfriend's house, who has his father over. She recognizes his father as her own father when she was the girl. She tells him that she misses him and that she wants to return home, to return to the body of the young girl. However, he swears at her and uses foul language, which she responds to with a reminder of how he, the original he, would teach her not to swear. However, he leaves the house and says that he wasted a lot of money on a plane ticket, holding his son accountable for the wasted money. A typical money-oriented version of a fatherly figure. She goes to sleep and then wakes up in the body of a married man, who married a woman whose son is bullied at school. The girl, in the body of the man, comforts the son and treats him as she would have wanted her parents to treat her. She shows him understanding and even spends the night with him on the porch of their house, looking at the sunrise. The child also tells her a version of the truth she clung to. If you die in a dream, you wake up. The version she clung to was, if you die in a dream, you die in real life. She wakes up in the body of a woman who just wants the day to end in order to get another chance to get back to her original body. She wakes up in the body of a dying man whose wife is sitting next to him in the hospital. The girl in the dying man's body asks, "Why does everything hurt?" His wife answers, "This is what happens when you are old." The wife realizes that her husband is not her husband and that someone else had taken control of his body, which results in a deep conversation about their life and the child's life and what she had seen throughout her experience traveling between bodies of different people. Then the girl says, "I can still feel some of the memories of these people," and then says, "I know that your name starts with an M. Me. M-I. Mill." By saying such a thing, the movie plot theorizes that by moving into someone else's body, whoever moves into the body would retain their memories from their original life and the memories stored within the brain of the person whose body they are using. Then she asks the wife, "Is he dying?" And the wife says, "I hope not." Then she says, "I know he would want to tell you that everything will be okay. I can feel it." As though whoever takes control of the body would feel the feelings that result from the memories stored within the brain, which is not true. Most of it is actually not true. No one can be transferred into the body of another person. But in theory, if such a thing was possible, memories stored within the brain would be off limits to the intrusive entity. In this case, the girl was in the body of an old, dying man whose grip of life would be small, and therefore more willing to share the memories he holds and the names he knew. Then, while the wife is sleeping, the girl in the dying man's body sees herself coming to the hospital, or sees a version of herself with a different name coming into the hospital with a different mother. The girl tells her, "This is my face. Return it to me. It is not yours." Sedated, she goes to sleep and wakes up in the body of another man or a woman. Then another time, she wakes up in the body of a man, thinking that everything that happens to her is just a dream. She makes the man jump a building. In this instance, she was conflicted between whether she believes dying in a dream would kill the person, as she previously thought, or whether it would just help them wake up, as the child told her. After the man dies, she feels the pain of his death. She wakes up in the body of a woman who sees on television that the church would help her find her soul. She goes there, and even though she continuously told people throughout her journey that her name is Harper, she cannot remember her name anymore when she goes to the church. This is one of the most interesting scenes in the whole movie for me. Does she forget her name because of the many names she had been called whenever she is put into another person's body? Does she forget her name because she is in the church and her name is not the woman's name? When they ask her about her name, were they asking about the original child's name or the name of the woman who is in the sacred place? She cannot lie about her name. And whenever the woman is asked about her name, in the past she would answer truthfully. Therefore, since she walked into the church, the body of the woman would not lie about the woman's name, and therefore would not allow the child to say her name instead of the woman's name, especially in church. Every memory of her speaking her name in the past on the lips of all the people she woke up inside, every memory of it was wiped out, removed and erased. The movie shows that even when she wrote the name was removed by having the memory play backwards. After failing to remember her name and asking the people in the church, "What is my name and who am I?" she starts freaking out and crying. She starts calling out to her mother, "Mom, Mom." She calls out to her mother multiple times, then the screen flashes to her mother, waking her up yet again in the body of another child. But at least she has her mother whom she called for. She ended up living in the body of a young girl, whose mother is the mother of the same girl who began the journey, but her memories and her life is different. She says to her mother, crying, "I'm scared if I go to sleep, I might not wake up," which is a way to end the movie preemptively without a clear ending. By removing the name from her memory, it effectively showed that it removed her identity entirely. The movie's premise is that a personality comes with the name that a person holds. By removing the name from her memory, it removed Harper from existence, especially since the movie ends abruptly without an end to the story of the young girl who began the journey.